Greetings everyone, and welcome to Epcot. Today we will explore the seas with Nemo and Friends. Formerly known as the Living Seas, this future world pavilion opened on January 15th of 1986. The original concept for this attraction was that guests would be transported to the ocean floor where they would explore Sea Base Alpha. Shortly after entering, guests would experience a short film titled The Sea, about the formation of the world's oceans. Afterwards, guests would enter a hydrolator. Once inside the hydrolator, effects would give the guest riding the sensation of moving downwards to the ocean floor. Guests would then board a sea cab, a forward-facing vehicle unlike the side-facing clamshells that have taken their place. From there, it was on to the main exhibit, and when guests were done exploring the exhibit halls, they would take another hydrolator for a return trip to the surface. A major overhaul of this pavilion began shortly after the Finding Nemo movie came out. On January 24th of 2007, the pavilion was rededicated as the Seas with Nemo and Friends. The first exhibit area, the Ocean Hall, features 6 round tanks. The first tank houses various types of moray eels. We learn that eels can be found in both salt and fresh waters, that their streamlined bodies, sharp teeth, and sit-and-wait hunting style makes them an important predator living in the coral reef ecosystem. The second tank in this gallery teaches us about how important coral reefs are and a diversity of animals that make their homes here. We also learn that just like Dory, regal blue tangs are a solitary animal that do not form schools. The blue tang can raise a pair of razor-sharp venomous spines on either side of their tails. They then whip their bodies from side to side, threatening to stab predators with their toxic-tipped stingers. Our third tank to visit talks about the camouflage abilities of some species of fish. We learn that some predators use this as an advantage to seek prey, while some prey use it as an advantage to hide. The fourth tank describes the relationship between clownfish and anemones, learning that clownfish stray no farther than 1 meter from their home during their entire lifetime. The fifth tank tells us about venomous fish, that there are over 300 species worldwide. We also learn that lionfish hunt in groups and use their pectoral fins to herd in small prey. The elaborate colors warn potential predators that the fish is venomous. The last tank houses a variety of sea stars, shrimp, seahorses, and many other species. We learn that seahorse companions remain together for life. Female seahorses place their eggs in the male's pouch, and 2 to 5 weeks later, the father gives birth. We also learn that seagrass is a flowering plant that grows along the ocean floor and produces much of the oxygen we breathe here on land. These 3 windows give us our first viewing into the dolphin habitat. Our final area on the bottom floor is for manatee observation, with a nice large underwater viewing area. Here we meet Epcot's resident manatees, Lou and Little Joe. Lou weighs in at 1,733 pounds and was injured by a boat strike. Little Joe was orphaned and weighs in at 1,627 pounds. This diver lockout chamber takes 60 seconds to fill and holds 4,000 gallons of water. Now we make our way to the upstairs observation areas. The second manatee viewing spot is an overlook in the lab area. Here is a great place to catch these gentle giants eating, or catch a presentation and learn a few facts about these graceful animals. Our next stop is the nursery. This aquarium houses Banggai cardinalfish, a slipper lobster, as well as various tropical fish and sea stars. This tank previously housed cuttlefish. Here we learn the slipper lobster is not a true lobster. We also learn that Banggai cardinalfish, although popular in home aquariums, the species is endangered in the wild. The male Banggai cardinalfish uses its mouth to incubate the eggs of its offspring. Once hatched, the baby fish continue to grow in the male's mouth pouch for another 10 days. They will swim in large schools to help defend themselves against predators. These tanks in the lab area tell us that the reefs here were not collected from the wild. They are part of a coral reef propagation project. We learn that giant clams help to filter water, creating a healthy environment for other animals to live in. Epaulette sharks are able to swim, but also use their fins to move between rock, coral, and even on the surface during low tide. There are over 30 species of clownfish. They are native to the Pacific and Indian Oceans and are a common sight at the Great Barrier Reef. And now to the main attraction, the Caribbean Coral Reef Tank, which holds 5.7 million gallons of water. At one time, this was the largest saltwater aquarium in the United States. That is before the Georgia Aquarium overtook it in 2005. This tank is 27 feet deep, and 1 inch of water off the top equals roughly 17,000 gallons. If you took 6 inches off the top, you would fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Spaceship Earth could fit inside this tank. The temperature in this environment is kept between 74 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. The 8 by 24 foot windows are acrylic and weigh right at 9,000 pounds and average 6 to 8 inches in thickness. A reverse flow filtration system forces debris and impurities to the top where it is skimmed out. The water then goes through the filtration system and returns to the main environment from the ocean floor. This aquarium is home to over 60 species and 6,000 individual animals. You'll find sand tiger sharks, a hammerhead, zebra, bonnetheads, sandbar, and black-nosed sharks, a green sea turtle, cownose and spotted eagle rays, shovelnose and bowmouth guitarfish, Atlantic tarpon, as well as tropicals including tangs, butterfly fish, and triggerfish. Many of these are rescued animals. All the coral in this tank is completely man-made. Natural coral is made up of many thousands of tiny coral polyps, which are closely related to jellyfish and anemones. Most established reefs are thousands of years old. Depending on many variables, coral may grow from a few millimeters to a few inches each year. Signage around the aquarium teaches us some facts about the species that reside within. We learn that sea turtles don't have teeth. They use their beaks to eat, with each species having a modified beak for its favored diet, which ranges from jellyfish and sponges to fish and plants. We learn about a sensory organ found in most fish called the lateral line, which helps them detect movement and vibrations in the water, as well as helps them to communicate, swim together in schools, and avoid predators. A short message asking us not to fear sharks, that nearly all sharks avoid human contact and attacks on humans are very rare. Here's one of 2 hidden Mickeys in this aquarium. One-third of the main tank houses 3 dolphins. Dolphins find their way with echolocation. The melon emits these waves which bounce off objects in return. The dolphins sense these waves through fatty layers found in their lower jawbone. Dolphins are a very social animal. They communicate with one another and work together to herd fish. Here you can see the dolphins in their training sessions. If you would like to get a closer look or learn a little bit more about these fascinating animals, there are two experiences that I would recommend. The Epcot Seas Aqua Tour. In this experience, you get to swim along the top of the main tank with a scuba-assisted snorkel, and the Dolphins in Depth, where you have the opportunity to interact with dolphins in waist-deep water. I miss the old living seas. If you are lucky enough to have experienced both versions of this attraction, I would love to hear which of these two you prefer. Thank you for joining me on this trek through the seas with Nemo and Friends. This is Brad. I will see you where our adventures take us next. Until next time, safe travels, and always remember that all drains lead to the ocean no matter where you live.